everyone, thank you for tuning in today. Today's reading is going to be your sex appeal. So we're going to look at lots of different ways that you may come across to others and how that may be attractive or not. So you've got 3 piles to start off with: pile number 1, pile number 2 and pile number 3. So if you want to take your choice, then we'll get going and run through quite a few aspects of your appeal to other people. Okay, let's go. Sorry, I'm here. Okay, let's go. I said, let's go. Right, straight from the very beginning, you are coming across some first impressions, or basically just the 2 cards to sum you up to begin with are the Moon and the Knight of Cups. So immediately I think that you're somebody who is very good at dealing with your emotions, and you're very good at being quite aware of other people's emotions. I think you're quite dreamy and you fall in love with being in love, and I think people like that about you because they see you as quite soft and welcoming. I do think that you're very good with anything that has to do with creativity, and I don't just mean you might be good at art or writing or in some sort of artistic expression, and probably in a way that you deal with other people. I think you're probably very good at reading the signs that other people give across and then manoeuvring yourself into situations where you can communicate well. I think you're very good at reading out what people are giving across without talking, if that makes sense. Just like body language or just any signal that somebody's giving across. I think you're probably very good when people are feeling anxious. I think you make people feel at ease. When I picked out these 2 cards, I had a little look at them before I started, and to me I picked up the image of somebody who to me feels like a Pisces or water in some way, and I mean that they make you feel welcome and they make you feel at ease, and they have this sort of aura about them, which is what I'm getting from you, when they have that sort of smile on their face as if everything is accepted in their presence. I'm trying to think of, they're the type of people when they're drunk. I think you're the type of person when you're drunk that you have that smile on your face, there's no aggression, there's just that sort of at ease with yourself, and you accept others for who they are or what they are. I think you're very good at romanticising any situation. You're probably somebody who likes to sit down and watch a romantic film, or you pick up novels that have some sort of romance in them. And I think that when you think there's romance on the horizon, that's what gets you exciting. You probably love falling in love. You like gentle people. I don't know yet, actually. I think you come across as a gentle person, so you may attract gentle people because they feel that they could be vulnerable with you and they won't get hurt. Okay, that's what I'm picking up the first few cards. Right, let's go into the smaller cards and see how you're coming across your sex appeal. Oh my gosh, okay. I think on first impressions, these 2 cards here that we've just discussed, I think are something that people might get as they get to know you more. On first impressions, I think that you actually do pack quite a punch and shake people up. I wonder if people are nervous around you in some way, or get overexcited in your presence in some way because they think there's going to be some sort of new beginning, or you have that aura. Perhaps you are like water mixed with fire, where you have that aura of being quite gentle and quite kind, and there's that smoothness about you, but there's also mixed with it an excitement and a promise of something new beginning. I don't know whether you're quite approachable and you give off this romantic aura, but if you've got that fire underneath you, I think people are drawn to you because they think they can reveal things to you, but you're actually quite fiery underneath. So I think that's quite a shocking, there's almost like a sexual attraction there with the innocence overlaid, I don't know. The same thing. Basically, there's like a sexual core to a more emotional overlay. That's what I mean. There's like a promise of adventure and excitement when people see you. I'm getting this impression of somebody who's really smooth, really kind, really approachable, nice looking, but with a bit of a walk about them, the way that they present themselves or they physically move, it's quite sexual or has a sort of an animal nature about it. I'm just fantasising here. I'll keep going and see what else comes out, but that's nice. Okay, what I'm thinking here is that I think that you have got a energetic innard and a smooth outer layer. So I think people are attracted to you because you seem approachable, as I've just said, but then there's this sort of sexy vibe about you. And I think as they get to know you, I think you can be quite confusing. I think you have an inner confidence, and I think you pull people towards you because you like to feel good in yourself. You're not somebody who looks for the negatives in life. You like to feel good, and you bring people with you and you make them feel good. But I do think that if you are quite Pisces, can a Pisces feel about this? And the moon isn't, I don't know if it's Pisces, I know it's watery, but I thought it was Cancer, to be honest. There's this feeling of just water, as if you're talking but you're daydreaming. This is why I'm saying Pisces. So when they get to know you, you're probably quite dreamy. And I wonder if people feel shut out a little bit. I just get this feeling that you're somebody that people are very magnetic and very drawn to, and you've got quite a sexual pull about you, but the more that they know you, the closer they get you, they just can't quite latch onto you. And it's such a Pisces-y feel about this. You may not be Pisces, but you may just have that makeup, because you could have that Neptune on an angle or something, where you just have that makeup where you give off a different impression of being sexual and subtle at the same time. When people get to know you, they want to, I think people probably have big crushes on you, and they get to know you and they think, okay, this is what I've made up in my mind, and then they can't latch onto you when they get closer to you. The reason I'm saying this is how people, they see you once they do get closer to you. And there's this girl, she's looking out to the sea, and then there's this man here who's not included. Can you see those? Yeah. In this situation, this other person's thinking. So, and there's you quite happy in yourself, quite victorious in yourself, and quite just self-assured. So you're quite a confusing pile to other people. I wonder whether you either are in a situation or you work in a situation where lots of people find you attractive, and you have lots of people around you. And people do a lot of fantasizing about you, but then when they get closer to you in some way, then they can't actually, what their fantasies have built up, you can't fulfill them. Which is a very Pisces feel about this. Do you know who I'm thinking of? Marilyn Monroe. And she used to say, because I never spoke to her, but she said something about how she put on this face or this act, and then she'd be walking down the street dressed in her normal clothes, and people would see her and nobody would be looking at her, but as soon as she put on her Marilyn persona, all eyes were on her. So I wonder whether you give off this persona where everybody's very attracted to you, but it's almost as if you fight with it, because you know that you can do it, but when somebody's there and close to you, it's almost as if you're looking at elsewhere and not interested. I'm going to keep going, because you are a real mixture. You're a real mixture of I don't want to use charisma and I don't want to use magnetism because it's something different. It's almost like people want you and they want to be with you, but it's almost like osmosis. They want to be, and I mean inside you, and I don't mean in that sense, but they want to be part of you. This is, to me, just is, and I've said it 4 or 5 times, Pisces feel. You may have Neptune very strong in your chart. Okay, I think when people talk to you, I think you even add to the confusion on this. I think you almost give off a non-committal sort of approach when you're talking to people. I think that you're quite cool and you're very good with your words and you communicate very well. And I think you're very good when you're talking about things that involve groups of people. So you're very good at expressing yourselves, probably in small groups. I think you might be quite indecisive, so you may change your opinion quite often, and people still, nobody can pin you down. I don't think anybody can pin you down. I think you're very good in work and you're very good at communicating, especially on practical matters, but I don't think you just, this pile is giving me a huge impression that you are quite mutable in many ways. You could have lots of Gemini, you could have lots of Sagittarius, you could have lots of Pisces. You're somebody, when you're communicating, you may change your mind. You may be just very difficult to latch on to. And I think that people are attracted to you and just find as if they just can't hold on to you. Oh my gosh, okay. I just think that you confuse people. I do think that you have people running around, and I think that they have in them, it's almost like somebody famous. You know, like somebody on TV or an actor or an actress or a singer, and people construct their own images in their mind, and when they get to know you, you're quite complicated and multi-layered in so many different ways. Because I think that when you communicate, you're very playful, but I think inside it you're quite conventional. And I think you're quite soul-searching, so that sort of romantic air about you is also something to do with it. You're actually looking for something a lot deeper in life. You're looking for that attachment, you're looking for that sort of bond that not many people have, or that's what you believe, that not many people, there's a certain someone and that's what you want. You may be quite, I haven't seen this in the cards, but I'm just saying this in general to these cards here. You could be quite promiscuous, you could have lots of different partners, but you could still be searching for that particular one. I don't see that in the cards, I'm just saying how these 2 cards play out for me. You've got the 2 of Pentacles, which is playing and moving around and deciding, and you've got Judgment, which is totally different. It's basically, especially with the Hierophant here, it's almost as if you are searching for that certain someone, and you may give off a playful aura, but deep down you're really looking for somebody you're going to attach with them, like what you feel is a soul level. Oh my gosh, you are confusing. So many different aspects to you. It's like a fiery air, a watery field here. You may be good at communicating, but I'm just picking up air and fire. There's feistiness, there's like that sexuality, but there's that mutable, it's like trying to hold on to somebody with like a Sagittarius moon. You just can't do it. They need freedom, and it's the same as Pisces. You think you've nailed it, and then they're daydreaming and they're looking out the window. It's just like, but then there's like a sexual animal thing about you too. So, crikey, you must be hard for people to latch onto. I think you're probably quite content in your own skin and basically just like the freedom to move, but I think you give off this sort of persona, perhaps like you need to be looked after, but there's that mixed with the sexuality, so you've got everybody so confused. Oh my gosh, okay. The reason that you are so charming and the reason that people are so pulled towards you is because of this here. There's the dreamer, that you've got a huge heart, and people feel that they can, they want to be part of that. That you've got a lot of emotions and love, and you give it out freely. But there's also a sort of gentle quietness about you and a calmness about you, and just that whole feeling of being smooth and laid back but warm and loving, which charms everybody. You're somebody who, I think you would have lots of people attracted, and I'm not saying this because it's like, big ego, bloat your own ego thing, but I think that you have so many people that are attracted to you because you are warm and giving and make people feel as if they can be vulnerable with you. And I wonder if you get lots of people talking to you and telling you so much about themselves that you almost like, oh, I don't know you that well. And then you almost have this sort of shield around you, and then you retreat. And people, you are so Pisces. The 3 people that I know like this have all got Pisces in them. I know a friend, and she works in public eye really, and she's very attractive, and she used to have people, because she was always had to stay still, and I wonder if this is the same with you, and people would visit you perhaps through your job, perhaps the job you do, and then they would just fall in love with you because of your warmth and your openness and your gentleness. But in some ways then you retreat, and I wonder whether you've actually found that quite annoying, whether you have so many people falling for you that in some ways, that you're not moved until there's that contact there. And I wonder if a lot of people in this, I'm wondering this, I don't pick this up from other people that I know like this, whether you are more attracted to somebody who's not so attracted to you, if you like somebody who's quite hard to get because you have so many people who immediately are attracted to you. Living in England, that people aren't very open to showing their feelings very often, but sometimes when you go abroad to places like, I'm thinking in the first 2 places like Turkey and Italy, where people are very open with their emotions and what they're feeling, and we find it so strange. But when I used to go abroad with a girl who was this makeup, all the men, it can be either for either sex, but although I suppose it is, but I used to have to spend the whole holiday fending men off because she just had that at ease smile, and she was nice looking, and this is the whole feel I'm getting from this. Regardless of the people's age, they would all think that they had, they almost had a part of this person. There's like that boundaries are missing, and everybody feels that they know you, and they want you, and it's almost as if you find that quite exhausting, then have to retreat for a bit. Okay, something that's quite hidden about you is that you are actually quite defensive, and I think I pick this up with this card here where you, can you see the cards here? Am I getting too low? No, okay. Where you have to pull back and have time to yourself, because I think that you're quite a family person. You could possibly be married, and that could be something that people fall in love with you and then find out. The only reason I'm saying that, you've got the Ten of Cups and you've got Justice here, and this is something hidden that you hide or that you feel you need to hide. You've got defensiveness and you've got marriage here, so if you're looking at this sort of reading with somebody particular in mind, and that you want to know whether how they found you appealing, I wonder if you'd like to hide the fact that you may be married or you may be in a relationship, because you also got the Hierophant up there as well. But I think what you do is if you're looking for somebody in particular that you're attracted to, and you are married in your relationship, or they are, you're almost slightly defensive over that. I think the general in people, and I think a lot of people are attracted to you, which I keep repeating, I wonder whether you just basically pull back from them. There's a defensiveness about you, which I don't expect you're very feisty defensive. I just think that you basically think, yeah, okay, I'm moving out of this one now. I think you have to fight a lot of people off. Okay, I put this out, these 3 cards here, with something in mind about like looking to see your general charisma, because especially from youth, and you had like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they would show you a card of somebody they found attractive, not card, a photo of somebody they found attractive, and you think, well, actually, no, they're not. And then you get to meet them and think, oh my God, now I know what you mean. I think with you, it's something. I think your attractiveness is exactly what I've said up here. It's you're coming across as quite demure. You're coming across as slightly disinterested. You don't get shaken up by many people, but there's also that huge sexual rumbling energy behind all this, which people find intoxicating. So you're coming across very nonchalant. You're coming across as very sort of, I'm just getting on with my daily life, but my God, am I sexy? Because you've got the Page of Pentacles here, which is like a more demure card. It's very practical. It's very somebody just gets on with what they're doing. You've got the Four of Cups. You're not interested. You have the Daydreaming card up here, and then you've got like the King of Wands. So this is exactly what I said up here. Your charisma. Sorry, charisma is a word I used to laugh when I was young. Is sexual and nonchalant, which is a difficult. You are quite a pile for everybody else. I'm feeling really sorry for people around you at this very moment. You are quite a pile to deal with. You are somebody who everybody thinks they know, but nobody really does. Okay. Well, I think in one-to-one relationships, you are somebody who, regardless of this sort of sexual slipperiness, you take charge, and it's very important to you, and you offer your heart, and you put yourself on the line, and you work hard in a relationship. I do think that one-to-one relationships are extremely important to you, although you're coming across as very mutable, very sort of mutable, not pull. And Sagittarius or Pisces, which can be, they can like lots of different relationships. They don't like to be tied down too much. Gemini as well. I think that it's very important to you. I think that you will work hard for your one-to-one relationships, and I think that you offer yourself fully and you take it seriously. You have strict boundaries when it comes to this area. I don't think you want to cheat or be cheated on. You wouldn't go for that, even though your personality may enjoy moving in and out of different situations, and your boundaries might be quite fluid in many other areas. I don't think you are when it comes to personal relationships. Okay, just to finish this off, I think with all this energy and with how you come across to people and basically who you are, I think you've really got a good balance between free flow and boundaries. And what I'm getting is that your strength is your strength, which sounds really, I can say wanky then, but I don't actually mean that. But your strength is your inner fire and your gentleness combined. You've got the lion here and the lamb, and I'm thinking of some biblical references, but I'm not going to put them in. As we've said all along, it's your feisty enthusiasm and your fun-loving, playful energy with your gentleness that is your strength. It's almost as if you've played the game in many lives before and you know how to play it, but you don't use it to get one up on people. And when people do fall in love with you and they're not your person, you won't be cruel. I think you like people to join in with what you see as a fun life. But if they cross that boundary, that's it. Your walls go up. So I do think, after just going through this whole pile, I do think that your strength is your ability, your intuition, your creativity, your sensitivity with your fire, with your inner fire. So you get things done, but you almost do it in a gentle way, and you're very aware of the people around you and how not to tread on people's toes as long as they don't try and hold on to you. Right, okay. I rambled on again. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that helps in some way. If it does, can you comment? Because I really do enjoy reading your comments, just to say which bits ring true. Because it helps me know what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong or how to improve, blah, 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 blah. Thank you very much for listening. Bye. Hi there, pile number 2. Let's go straight into you. Let's see what cards you got. Okay. Right, let me just shuffle these while I'm talking about your cards here. Can you see them? Oh, yeah. Okay, your cards you've got for your general impression for me is the Tower and I just resurrected him then, upside down that way. You've got the Four of Swords. So when I first turned these over before I started and had a little peek, you are somebody who has a powerful impact on people. These cards give me the impression of somebody who's, I can tell when I'm thinking because my eyes go up to the wall. I'm trying to think of people who make me feel like this. Somebody who may be very quiet, somebody who speaks very softly, but somebody who deep down does not like small talk, who does not like people who gloss over things and have trivial conversations. You're somebody who, when the going gets too easy, you like to explode it. That's not very good English. You like to chuck everything up into the air when you think that things are getting a little bit too menial or a little bit too easy. But you do, I think you have a lot of energy inside you and you put out a lot into life. But what you have to do is you have to retract yourself every now and then and recuperate. There's a feeling of understanding other people, of watching and being aware, and it's like I'm not saying in like an intuitive sense, it's almost like in a deeper sense. I wonder whether in your life that you've been through situations where which have been hard, and they've caused you to have a really good, or be able to read people extremely well. I don't think you would want to have a trivial relationship is what I'm trying to get at. I don't think you want your job to be trivial. I don't think you want your life to be trivial. You want it to have impact and you want everything to be strong. You don't want grey, you want black or white. You want strong people around you, but you don't want fuss. There's a strength about you. I suppose one thing why you don't want fuss is I used to know a girl who, when I used to go and stay with at her house, that her mum used to come up in the morning when you're on the floor, drunk the night before on like cushions off the settee, and she would come, "Would you like a drink, Maureen? Would you?" And my mum never did this. People just totally like, "Go on with yourself." Which I used to find absolutely amazing, and so I'm getting the impression that you are not the person who would appreciate somebody fussing over you. I think you're quite independent, and I think you're a very strong person, and I think that you need a lot of time to yourself to to recalibrate before you go back out into the world. And I don't think that you like trivial matters. I think when somebody's talking crap to you, I think you can see straight through it. And you're not impressed. And you probably like people to reveal themselves to you, but not in a long-winded way about what they did this morning and what they had for breakfast. You want somebody to reveal themselves into things that have shaped. Sorry, camera clicks off occasionally. You're always looking out for something new to do. You're somebody who's quite driven. You're somebody who is quite brave. You're very much. You've got very good self-confidence. You have that feeling that you've basically run everything through the mill a couple of times in your life and a couple of times in your past lives, whatever. And I do get the impression that you give this across to people as in seen it before, done it before. I'm quite assured of myself and I know where I'm going. So I think you come across with a very strong self-confidence and a very good, strong presence. I wonder whether you make people feel a little bit inadequate in some ways, or you come across maybe a little bit harsher than you actually are because of your strength. I think when people get to know you, I think that their opinion isn't much different. I was going to say that you still have a strength and a control about you, but it's almost supercharged with the ability to do whatever you want. You're coming across as somebody very much in tune with themselves and what they want in life and how they're going to get it, and they're not going to tiptoe around anything, because you're just going to be direct and straight and to the core. And I think that you have the capability and the confidence to get whatever you want once you set your mind to it. It's just scaring me a bit this time. Let's keep going. Okay, the way that you communicate to people, I think that you, as I said right at the very beginning, I think you have a quite gentle voice about you. So I think people, until they get to know you, don't know the strength that's rumbling under the surface. I think you're quite reserved, and I think that you speak quite quietly, and I think that you communicate a strength through past hurts. That might not make sense, but I think there's you've got this. The last pal was playful and had a giddy, slippery feel about it. This you do not. You have this image of being controlled, not controlled, in control, and controlled. The way that you give across is controlled. You don't give off more than you want to give off. It's so admirable. I don't know how you do that. But that you do it in a gentle way, in a quiet way, with strong boundaries. I wonder whether in some way in your life you have been hurt or something's had a huge impact on you, that you've used it for your own strength. And that's how you give off this image of strength to other people and this image of control. Other people I've known like this tend to surround themselves, or they're still attracted to people who are quite silly, because they quite like that playfulness and that silliness, just for the contrast. I don't think, before I go to the next part, I think that you're somebody who uses few words. I don't think that you're very good with people who talk a lot. I think you like to use as few words as possible to have as much impact as possible. You like gentle directness in the way that you communicate. I don't know if you would actually, just saying about playful people in your life, whether you'd actually put up with too much rambling. I don't know whether you'd find that quite annoying. I don't think you'd put up with too much surface level talk. I think it would annoy you. Like a Scorpio feel about this. people are sexually attracted to you because of your confidence. I think because you have that control about you, male or female, I do get the impression that you have a sort of control and I can't think of the word. It's like an ego, like a strong ego. I can't think of the word. You know when somebody's standing, just say you're at a party and there's somebody standing there and they are just standing straight and they're quite sexy and they're just looking around, and it's the difference between that's you and somebody who is drunk under the table and giggling to themselves. It's almost like that sort of silent, strong type sexuality about you that is attractive. I think that you're very good with, we just talked about you communicating and the fact that you probably choose very few words, but I think that the words that you do choose are very direct and very well thought out. So I think that you come across as very intelligent as well. So I think that's where your sexuality comes from. It's like your quiet strength and your control. I keep saying it, I keep thinking it. Okay. I think that people find you charming because you are protective. I think that's where your charm comes from. See, that's difficult because I put this down for like how are you charming or how do you charm people, and you've got the Empress that hits me straight in the face. So how can you find somebody who's nurturing, charming? I wonder whether in situations where people are in need, or say if you're in a work situation or an everyday situation, you almost have this charming air of something's gone wrong, but because you are such a big personality that you can see the bigger picture and you almost like don't worry about it, but in a smooth way. That sort of thing that is quite charming. That sort of life's bigger than that, don't worry about it. And that's quite sexy actually. Yeah, that is quite sexy. But you're also very good at doing things with a different slant to it. You're just a bit smooth. You're just a bit smooth and sexy. There's all that sort of, I've fancied every pal I've talked about so far. There's almost sort of a nurturing, protective quality about you, and that's what makes them go weak at the knees. But you don't do it in a way that is tacky. It's in a way that has an original slant to it. You've got the magician, the fool here. So when people get to know you, I think that you're quite different. So you've got this like Scorpio Aquarius feel here going on. If you are Scorpio, or you have got Scorpio or Pluto strong in your chart, I wonder whether you've got lots of Cancer people around you, people that like to be nurtured, or you've had lots of Cancery people, or people that like to be looked after you, or find you very attractive because of your strength and because of your ability to make people feel protected and loved. I can imagine you're extremely good with children. You may not be the ones that throw them up in the air, and if there's that inner calmness about you, and that's the type of person that children do gravitate towards, especially, I bet you're very good at working with troubled people. I bet you're very good at working with troubled teenagers or people that need strength and need a solid person who feels like you're basically talking, you could be talking from past experience of knowing what it feels like to feel, as if you've had a rough time, but then you use that to help other people. And you do it in such a way that makes an impact because you know how to do it in a different way. You know how to get inside these people to bring the best out of them. It doesn't have to be that your general everyday job is working to help people. It could be people that you just meet along your life, people who have been through experiences that have scarred them or are going through them. And I think you're extremely good at making people feel good and calm and loved and making their life turmoil at that moment feel smaller. I still get the feeling that something possibly could have made an impact in your life to make you this strong. I get a feeling that with people, and this has probably led you to be slightly defensive of others, that there's only a few people you let in really close, and then you put up the cold exterior. This pile, you've had the Tower twice. And I think you're very good at dealing with big situations. In fact, I wonder if you almost secretly, without even knowing yourself, almost welcome the excitement of a explosive situation. And then you know how to deal with other people. But I think you may have dealt with this in the past, or something that's made a big impact on you. And now you use this and it's part of your magnetism in some way. That people know that they can lean on you. But I do think you're very good with your boundaries. You don't want everybody leaning on you. And I think when people push on you too much, then you just cut off. I think you can be quite cool about it. Oh my gosh, okay. I think that you're quite charismatic because... not because you come across as being charismatic on first impressions. It's almost your quietness and it's your gentleness, and it's similar to power number 1 in this way, that you give off a sort of nonchalant air, that you're not really looking out for somebody. You don't mind who you attract or who you do attract, but people tend to be, they bond with you still through this almost like a healing process. And you make people feel as if you all belong together, as if you're all family, as if there's like some sort of past link with them. People talk to you and they feel as if they can reveal everything to you. And I wonder whether you do actually find that quite irritating in some ways with people that you don't want that close, because you also have got this sort of boundaries that you put up as well. Okay. In personal relationships, I think that you are quite humble, but I think it's very important for you, and I think that is where I think you're very passionate. I think this is where you give of yourself totally. I think that you are very good at revealing your inner softness. I think everybody else might get a bit of a shell, but I think once you feel close to somebody, you let down your walls totally. And I think that you almost do it, and it's not in a sort of rumbling, turbulent Scorpio sort of impression that you may give to the outer world, that that you're tough and you're hard. I think that's when you turn to jelly. I think that's when you reveal your heart and you show how vulnerable you are or can be. But I think only a few people get that part of you. I don't think you're one of those people that wear their heart on their sleeve. To people that get close to you see it, but not many. It'll be family, it will be children, and it will be the people that you hold very close and very dear. And you have a totally different energy about you with them than you do to the outside world. I think it's almost like a strength and a boundary. Okay. I think in life in general, this is not so much a sex appeal, but it's just basically summing up. I think in life in general, I think that you probably are very good at using all of this, all the situations that you may have been through in your life up until now, and working on yourself. And I think that, I wonder if in some way you do some sort of research, or whether you use everything and think about it and then bring it out into life in a bigger way. You know, I talked about earlier about you being quite a healing personality, whether you use your strength with other people in that way. So your last line here was, I know this is all about sort of the impression that you give to other people and how you are in personal relationships. The last line was the situation where you are at your best, and what you've got is somebody who has worked hard, somebody who's very strong and uses their, almost like their sexuality as well, or just that basically that those base instincts and strength to understand how people work. So that could be anything, to be honest. It could be that you do have a healing personality and work with children that need help, or you could work with underprivileged people, or just people who are struggling because of the fact that you may like to dive into the big picture rather than skirt around the edges. But I also wonder as well whether you could actually work with people or work in situations where that's part of like a research process, where you take on, you're very aware of what's happening, you're very aware of how people deal with the hard bits in life, and then you translate it and give out to people in a different way that can help them. And that could be anything. You know, you could work in supermarket and do that. You could work in I don't know, anything, law, leisure centre, absolutely anything. But I think that your strength overall and your appeal, and that when you're at your best is when you're using what you've been through, working with that and then giving out to others. It's got real Scorpio feel to this pile. It's like an inner strength, and it's an inner reserve, and it's that you've almost learnt to deal with that and to not get hurt yourself so much. But that totally falls to pieces when you're in a personal relationship, which is the way it should be, because everybody's still learning, and personal relationships, you've got to open yourself up, because you're not going to get anywhere. You're all going to we'll all be on our deathbeds and wondering why we didn't. So I'm going to finish it there. A really strong pile here, an inner strength, and that's what makes you so sexy. There's that sort of calm, silent, but sexy feel about you, but with a gentleness that gives, but not to everybody. Only to those that don't push. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. If any of that did ring true, please mention it in the comments section, because it helps me. It just helps me in lots of different ways. Thank you for listening. Okay, pile number 3. Hi, pile number 3. We've got, oh yeah, I remember you lot. Pile number 3. When we were getting your cards out, oh my god, that's a royal wheel. There's only one in here. You got the 6 of Cups. I'm going to shuffle while I'm looking at these, and the Empress for your first 2 cards to give me a feeling of who you are. And the first feeling I got was like beauty and softness. This feeling of gentleness, playfulness, childlike qualities, a love of summer, sunshine and beauty, and in every form, as in you could be very creative, you could be very artistic. If you're not creative or artistic in a particular artistic way, like you don't, I don't know, draw or paint or write or whatever, you bring that into every situation. I do think people are attracted to you because you make people feel as if you've known them forever, and there's that sort of friendliness and openness about you that is very warm. I think you're probably very gentle in the way that you speak. You're probably very welcoming. And I wonder whether you are extremely good looking. If you're a man, you're extremely good looking in a sort of soft way. I don't mean soft bodied way, I just mean as in like eyes that you fall into. Oh no, I can't go down that road, I'll start mumbling. And if you're a woman, it could be more, you could be very much a womanly figure, you could be rounder than round. You could just be just larger and sexy and curvy, voluptuous, have boobs. That could be, you know, like a major part of your attraction. Just having boobs. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, on first impressions, we've just talked about the first impressions I got from these cards. On first impression, this is almost like backed up. You've got the King of Cups here. So you're somebody who is very emotional or very in control of your emotions, and you deal with them on first impressions. People think you do deal with them in a very mature manner, that you don't use it to manipulate people, and that you basically are very good at speaking and expressing yourself. You're very good at looking after other people and caring for other people. But I do think that people are quite taken aback. See, I got this impression that this pair was really physically attractive, and I think that people are quite taken aback, and you might get people being a bit silly around you and almost playing up because they don't know how to deal with the fact that you come across in such a sexual way. And I don't mean sexual as in like, you know, short skirts, low top sexual, but almost in a classic, warm, welcoming sexual. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to think of somebody like that who comes across like that. Somebody, I don't know. There's almost like a shock here, and almost as if you make people a bit giddy and they play up around you a bit silly. But I think it's just generally because you are very warm and welcoming, and it's almost people. It's some people, especially if they haven't had that in their life, almost go a bit giddy over you. I think when people generally get to know you a bit better, though, I think that they're not let down by your ability to connect emotionally. I think you've got Two of Cups here. They basically, you make people feel connected to you. So there's always that equal give and take between you. But I do think that you're quite strong. Below this soft exterior and below this almost like shocking attractiveness that you have about you, there's an inner strength, and you know your boundaries, and people know this after they get to know you. You can be quite controlled when you need to be, and you're not afraid to leave a situation if needed. And I don't think that people who meet you immediately just see softness and attractiveness and then, you know, almost like a fun childlike playfulness about you, which is gentle. But I think when people get to know you, I think your friends and your family know that you do actually give the same as what the people get first impressions of you. So there's no discrepancy between that, but there's also a strength about you that you're not a pushover, and you're quite happy to leave a situation if needed. Okay, oh my gosh, you're a strange mixture. You've got these gentle cards, like, so you communicate and you almost have like a dreamy quality where you might actually just stop talking in the middle of a sentence and look out of a window, and people might find that, what is she doing, or what's he doing looking out the window? And you've also got this like nurturing way that you communicate. You make people feel listened to, but not. It's almost as if, tell me, you're gentle and soft. Come and tell me, you know, all your problems. Let me talk about it. Then you start looking up at the ceiling. There's a strange mixture with you that people are shocked, or you give off a different impression, and when people get to know you, it's almost as if there's something, I don't know what it is yet, there's something about you that their initial perceptions don't actually match up with something else. And I'm going to have to carry on because I don't know. Because you just give off this air of beauty and calm and being emotionally available, which people find really, really attractive. And then there's this something about you that doesn't quite... I just wonder... This is like the Pisces feel from the first power, whether you are very attracted to a lot of people and then people come close to you and then they're quite shocked. But if they're pushing on you and your gentle nature, then you just cut off and there's that boundary comes in slap down straight away. Yeah, that might be it. Let me keep going and see. Okay, I do think that you are somebody who has quite a presence in the way that they stand. I think you walk very confidently. You might have a certain sort of way that you walk that is very attractive in the way that you hold yourself. You could be a dancer, you could be just somebody who's very aware of their body, but you also, that's mixed with like a dreamy quality where you have a daydreamy look on your face. And I think that people might feel that you're almost unapproachable or untouchable in many ways, because you're giving off this air of beauty and warmth and confidence, and there's almost like a conventional air about it as well, as in, like you are the ideal father or the ideal mother. And I just think that you have a certain physical presence which is very fit, or you hold yourself very well, and then you walk very well, as if you're very agile and very much in touch with your body. But there's a dreaminess in you that people see too. But there's almost an air of, I think you, I'm going to say it would be untouchable, then I was going to move on to, I think that you may be in a job or a situation where a lot of people see you and a lot of people approach you and a lot of people find you very attractive. I think that you have a lot of people that come towards you, and I think that may be how you've actually learned to say enough is enough. Okay. You're charming. People find you charming because you are open and loving, but I'm going to use the word ditzy here. But you have that sort of vulnerability about you and warmth about you that people feel as if it's like childlike, it's like innocent, and people feel like they need to protect you. They feel that you could very much be taken advantage of, but I don't think that's the case at all. And I think that's why people find your sexual appeal is your innocence. It's almost like a playfulness, it's like a childlike innocence, and it's a gentleness that people find attractive about you. You're so different from power number 2. More similar to power number 1, power number 2. It's not like this. Totally different. So your sexual appeal is the fact that you're quite charmingly innocent. I do think that you may hide from people the fact that you at times can, in relationships or when people do find you attractive, there's almost as if you become startled, a bit like, especially if you find them attractive as well, there might be this sort of, I think you have a lot of people that come on to you, and I think when somebody you actually do find attractive is in front of you, it's almost as if you want to freeze, as if you freeze maybe through a bit of anxiety, and you want to almost like the relationship to run on its own rather than you moving forward or reciprocating in some way. I don't get a feisty feel like, Aries want to charge in and they want to get going and they want to claim who they want to claim. This has got a feeling of, if somebody finds you attractive, it's almost as if you freeze in some way. And you think, well, no, if we're meant to be together, then that's what will happen and that will just work out that way sort of feel about you, that sort of karmic, let things run as they will. And I don't think you reveal that to many people. Don't think you reveal that when somebody actually finds you attractive, you can feel quite anxious about it, because there's almost like, I don't know, it's just quite vulnerable feel about it. Sorry, camera clicked off again. There's still that ability to connect, but there's like it's as if you deal with something inside yourself, and you've worked hard on doing with it, and then that's where your strength lies. You're not afraid to fight. Although you give this soft exterior, you're not afraid to fight quietly. I think people feel as if they know you already as soon as they start talking to you. But I don't think you keep part of yourself really deep down to yourself until you find that special person. Let's have a look at more personal relationships here. Okay. I think in personal relationships, I don't know whether this is quite topical for you at the moment because they're quite unusual cards to come up together. To me, they speak of something that might be happening with you at the moment. There's a need for balance. There's a need for you both to be equal. You've got the Temperance card here, which is balance, fairness, and not balance again. I can't think of the word. But you've only got the Two of Wands here, so that basically that you want an equal relationship. You don't want somebody to boss you about. You don't want that sort of father figure, or you don't want somebody who puts themselves lower than you. You need a friend, and you need somebody on an equal keel and an equal level to you. And I think that I've got this twice for you, that you're somebody who, I don't know if this has got something to do with the way that you were brought up. Sometimes I find that people who, what I'm going to say is, I think you move quickly out of relationships when it's not right. And I wonder whether that's got something to do with your childhood, whether if you felt slightly uneasy with a parent or not welcome or something, that you split really quickly. So I think in personal relationships, you possibly could have a past history, or you could be something at the moment that you are thinking of turning your back on, or you have a history of basically removing yourselves quite quickly when the relationship's gone downhill. Because you do need, when the relationship becomes imbalanced in any way, when you feel that you're not, you're either too far below or too high above the other person, and it doesn't work for you. You need, you've got the two. People get to know you. You want a connection and you want fairness, which is quite an airy thing to want in that way. You've coming across here as being quite airy, where you want fairness and you want a connection and you want it to work. You don't want to be looked after. You don't want a sugar daddy. Or a sugar mummy. You don't want somebody you can tell what to do all the time. You want somebody as a friend that you can move forward with. Okay, I think that you come in, you're almost in a larger scale, that you come into your own when you work with your heart, which sounds really corny, but what I'm trying to say is that when you are exactly who you are, when you don't hold back on your emotions, when you express yourself, and when you're open-hearted with people in everyday situations, that's when you come into your own. I think you are extremely good. This is not your sex appeal now, is it? This is the last bit, okay, and I'll sum it up. So I think you're very good at making people who are anxious, or making people who feel out of sorts themselves feel good, because you are so welcoming and so giving. There's a softness about you which is very appealing. Okay, so your sex appeal, I'm going to sum you up because I forgot with every other pile. Your sex appeal is in your beauty, your physical beauty. You may not find you attractive, but I think that you come across as being very physically attractive, and I think a lot of people are attracted to you. I think there's a softness about you, and I think there's a calmness about you, and a beauty, and it's almost like an artistic beauty about you, where you could be quite bohemian, I don't know, there's just an air about you which is very attractive. I think the hidden bit about you is the bit that there is an inner strength to you, but I don't think you reveal to many people, that only the people that know you know. Basically, you're pushed so far and you kick back, and you have an ability to move very quickly out of a situation. I think on a larger scale, not just in like the, partnerships and friendships, but in a larger scale, I think that calmness and that ability to connect people together is probably one of your strengths. So your sex appeal is in your softness and your ability to be open emotionally with everybody. And I wouldn't be afraid of doing that, because you also have that bit where you cut off and you're out of there if people push you too much. So I'm going to finish it there. Pile number 3. Sorry, I have to remember then. I hope that made sense. If it does in any way, please put it in the comment section, because it really helps me to know what works, what doesn't work, or that's it really, to know what works and doesn't work. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you again in the near future. Bye.